Hello everyone, welcome back to Southern Restoration, and this is the Loaf Project, and today we're going to be working on this section here. So in the last episode we worked on its neighbour here, and we're going to jump onto this piece here. But first, what I want to do before we get into anything at all is I want to give you a close-up just to show you the extent of the damage, and we'll go from there then. So have a look. We're going to bring it out now and we're going to sandblast it. And just like the last time, we're going to bring it back to a point in which there's no pits in the steel or noticeable rust or anything like that. And then we're going to cut it back as far as that point. So it's all nice, new, fresh steel. Roughly, well, I'm hoping it's going to go from at least, well, at most, from around here, maybe just there, in and around and up. I'm just cutting along this bend here because it is a nasty one. Just on the bends, there's loads of bends and stuff like that I have to get, that I'm probably going to be welding on. It's not necessarily a case that I'm going to be making them, but I'm going to be welding on bends, and that can get a little bit messy because it's hard to get them perfect then. So yeah, and then I'm hoping when I get along here there's not much that I need to cut out, even though I can see that there's a bit of pit in there. But let's not get too into this now, right? I'm going to show you what it's like after it's sandblasted, and then we're just going to take it from there. So let's jump onto that. Talk to you in a minute. Right, so we're back, and like the last time, it never seems to be as bad as you think it is. Yes, there's a gaping hole in the side of the van, but when you peel back the rust, you kind of expect, okay, it's going to be gone as far as around here, like way past around here and stuff. Now in fairness, I will have to kind of go along that, but even the likes of this, I kind of had a feeling it was going to be rotten here, nearly up as far as there, up as far as the hole. So that's not so bad. And as well as that, up here it's not gone past this bend, so I'm going to be able to just run a line along there just underneath where the bend is. It's gonna be a tricky one because of it's where it is and there's so many bends, but we'll get there. So now what I'm gonna do is we're gonna cut out this lump of steel so we can get all that rust out of the van, and then we'll worry about putting something back into it. So let's jump into that. Right, so I have something to tell you all, right? Okay, so I have something to show you. So I've had a little bit of, this one was finicky, let's say that, because of all the angles and the different bends and stuff. Like, it was quite hard to line up, and I made a balls of my panel as well. And I have to say it on the channel because that's what this is all about, you know, trial and error, figuring out what the right way is to do this. Sorry, but there's glare. Hang on a second, lads. I'll just, there we go. It's all trial and error. These things happen. So what happened was, the actual thing that happened was, when I was putting this panel out, right? I don't know whether it's in the video, but I accidentally, well, it vibrated off. This side of it vibrated and broke off. So when I was doing my outline, I thought, right, I'll give myself a little bit more so that I don't cut off too much on the new panel. So I did that. But then what happened was I ended up cutting too much off. So this is the result, and I'm going to show you this, and then I'm going to explain how I cut the panel down and ground it down, because I didn't film some of it, but I'll just show you this anyway, right? So the panel sits in quite nicely now, right? And I'll just get it in roughly for you. So very roughly that's the way it is. There's a little bit out there, but like it does slot into place. I've had a little bit of trouble. Well, there's that lump that I messed up, so now I'm gonna have to repair that. If you can see it, I'm zooming in. Yeah, so this bit here, I ended up cutting too much off, and to be honest, that frustrated me just a little bit. So what's going to have to happen now is I'm going to have to weld in a little piece, just a little square, just to get that in onto that panel, grind it out, do it nice so it's all solid and it's all good. That's an unfortunate thing, but I wanted to share that, which is because it's part of the process. I'm learning, we're getting there. It was a stupid mistake on my part, but the finicky thing of it all, and I think it's because it's the shape of this panel, and I've had this with other panels, repairing them and stuff. I'm starting to get used to, with this panel I've learned a lot, because there's so many shapes, when you line it up in behind, and I feel like this is the best way to do it, as I've said, I'm noticing the right places to grind, to line the panel up. So I've had a bit of an issue with this bend here. There's a little flat spot there that you might be able to see, and lining this panel and getting it to mesh up to it has been a pain, because I came across an issue where everywhere else lined up except for that, and I was thinking, what's going on, what am I doing wrong? And I've noticed with other panels, something that I've learned about other panels is I'd end up kind of going, oh, that must be what it is, and I'd grind off the wrong side, and I'd go, oh, and then I'd figure it out and I'd grind off this side, and then I'd end up with a big gap on this side, so on the opposite side. So it's kind of trial and error, I suppose. But what I've learned with this panel is when I lined it up, this wasn't lining up, just this corner here, because it goes flat. Anyone with a hijack will know. Well, if you want to look at your van, you'll notice that this little edge here is flat, and that's what was throwing me off. So it actually turned out, rather than it being over this side, because there was a bit touching, I was like, alright, maybe, yeah. I was kind of like, well, hang on a second. The issue is the panel needs to actually move over this way. It's not a case that the panel is off on this side, it's off on this side. So rather than taking steel off this end and having a gap, obviously it needs to move over this way. So I noticed that there was a little bit of steel here, a little bit of steel here, foiled it down, ground it off, and it sits in, it's 95% sorted now, so a little bit more refining, a little bit of a grinding here and there, and she should be beautiful, right? So, but what I'm going to do now is I'm going to weld on my little patch. It's only going to be a little patch onto this panel that I messed up, unfortunately, and we're then gonna, when that's all done and that's nice and clean, we're gonna stick the panel in, tack it in, stretch it here and there, get it all lined up. Once it's all good and I'm happy with it, and then we're gonna finish off the panel. So talk to you in a minute. Right, so now we've got it in. It's tacked on in two places. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to tack it around as per usual. Fill all it, once it's all straight and lined up, zip it all up, grind the welds down and primer. So as you've seen there, I welded in, I threw in a little clip, or I'll throw it in now, of where I had to weld on this little piece here, which will be fine because I'll just grind down them welds, and actually welded on fairly handy. So that's going to make up for that little bit of room of my mistake that I made. So I've got this all lined up fairly well. I've tacked there just on the corner, so that's lined up well. This is lined up well here, so it'll just take a little bit of nudging and a little bit of twisting and we should be sorted. So that's the way it is now, lads. I'm just gonna get on with it now and weld it up. So let's go. Right, so everyone, I've got the panel all nicely welded in. I spent probably about, I don't know, about 40 minutes tacking and just bending the panel, straightening it out, getting it all lined up nicely, and it seems pretty sweet right now. I don't know where the video cut out because it was so long. My camera only records for 30 minutes and then it stops, so I don't know where he's missed out on or whatever. But this is the panel all welded. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna use the flap disc on the grinder. It's a safer bet rather than using the cutting disc, because you just take too much steel off and leaves lines and stuff like that, and it's just, yeah, it's just a bit messy. But I might use the cutting disc just to take heavy lumps off. Sometimes it's just better off doing that. It's nicer. It leaves it saves a bit of time as well, because you could be there sometimes with these flap discs, especially if it's a bit of an old one. Takes a bit longer, but we'll get through it, and I'm gonna grind it down now with the flap disc, make it all nice and smooth, bit of primer on it, and we're all sorted. So let's jump into it. Right, so what we've done now is we've got it all grinded down nice and smooth. The flap disc actually worked a lot better than I remember it working before, so that was great. And then the belt sander was great when the belts didn't break. So that actually all worked out perfect, and this panel actually turned out really sweet. I have to be honest with you, it's sweet. I'm happy with it. It's gonna look even better now with a bit of primer on it. And I went over the flap disc over some of the white paint as well, because I had this, I've talked about before, this like tar kind of stuff on it. And to be honest, next time I do bring it all back down to steel when I'm filling it and doing all that crack, I don't want to be eating into that. So it says, you know what, sure, before I'll just take that off, put a bit of primer on it, and be all good. So yeah, this is actually it now, lads. I'm gonna just throw a bit of primer onto it, and then we should be golden. So yeah, I'll talk to you now in a second after this is done. So nice one. So everyone, this is the end of the video. We got through it. I'm actually happy with how it turned out in the end. It's all primered up now and we're ready to go on to the next piece. So if you've enjoyed the video, give it a like, subscribe, and comment below what you think of it and how you think of my work and how I'm getting on. I'm interested to hear from you all. So I'll talk to you in the next one, and thanks for watching.